KTSA News Time 10:09. Good morning. It's Jack Riccardi on News Talk 550 KTSA, the news and talk of San Antonio. It is now officially the Labor Day weekend, even though we have a very dressed up Gang of Four today. Please, if the camera can pan the sartorial splendor that is Gang of Four. Let's start over here at the end of the table with Ken Slavin, jazz singer by night, public relations and advertising executive by day, and a man who is selling a beautiful home. I hope that you get a home buyer very soon.
I do too.
If I could buy your house, I would.
You can come on by.
I realize.
I mean, you are a very wealthy on-air personality.
Please.
And it is great. It's in the Alta Vista neighborhood, West Kings Highway. It's on the edge of Monte Vista, so not as expensive. Yeah. And we're having a lot of showings right now, but it's very stressful. I've never been through this before.
I'll tell you this though, because I've been through it a number of times. It's worse if you're not having any showings.
Yes, and everyone keeps telling me, feel blessed about that. And it's a busy weekend. I'm going to be singing in Austin tonight and Saturday night. And one of my clients, an artist, Patty Skimmerhorn, she just went national. The Bed Bath & Beyond company bought up 31 of her paintings, and they're in 12 states now, and she's having her first personal appearance at the Quarry location tomorrow to sign paintings. So I'm going to be all over the map this weekend before I leave for Alaska. I'm leaving on Tuesday for Alaska.
Oh, and how long is that trip?
I'll be there for a week. I've been booked to do 3 singing performances in Anchorage. Yeah, and it's a nice, kind of like a return home because I went to high school up there. So
you're telling us.
Yeah.
All right,
so I know I sound manic this morning, but there's a lot. There's just a lot that's happening.
We'll try to sedate Ken, and Ken, you work into the conversation as many the aspects of your home. If you want to work into the conversation, number of bedrooms and bathrooms.
2.5 baths,
3
bedrooms.
Got it all down. Square footage.
It's 2,000 square feet, built in 1931.
Electric?
Brick. I'm sorry. Yes, gas.
Gas.
Okay. Yes, central air. Totally brick house, gorgeous.
Dr. Ali, make him an offer. That sounds like your kind of house. Dr. Masarat Ali is here. He ran for state representative against Lyle Larson in 2010. It was one of the most high-profile of all races in the state, and he is now back managing his medical, I would say medical device businesses. Yeah. Is that the best way to say it? Dr. Ali, welcome back to the show. And you're one of those people we keep in touch with because you have left the door open. You believe you will be called back into public service at some point, right?
Well, it's just like the first love. You never give up.
There you go. Well, some of us have given up on our first love, but okay. What's new with you? What's going on?
Well, nothing. Just watching the carnage in the Wall Street. People are concerned about their houses. We are concerned what is happening to the money that we have invested.
Our national house.
In the banks and in the mortgage and the rest.
And the hits just keep on coming. Today we found out zero job creation in August.
That is correct.
All right, Elaine Wolff is here. She's the editor of Plaza, ArmasTX.com. That is actually a new business, so they are creating jobs over there. It's the online newspaper for politics, culture, current events, all of that, and very, very good coverage of the obviously of the municipal elections that we just went through. So
thank you very much.
Enjoyed that. What's new with you?
We've been all over the streetcar debate, as you all have been as well. Yeah. Of course, right? That's been pretty fascinating. So
might talk about that today.
Yeah, and then the budget. We've got a lot of in-depth budget coverage coming up, which will be both informative and entertaining.
Are you selling anything?
Budget people.
Do you have anything to sell today?
Subscriptions to Plaza, ArmasTX.com. Come sign up, become a subscriber.
How much are they?
It's $60 a year or $5.99 a month.
Ken says he'll get it if he sells his house.
And you get, does it come as a weekly update or a daily update?
You get daily email updates. There's fresh content every day on the site. So we do a lot of in-depth stories, investigative reporting, and analysis. And then we have a fun section called Chisme, which is usually where you hear about sort of breaking news first.
I love that. I mean, I really admire you for going out on your own. I know what it's like to go out on your own. It's not easy.
You are the loveliest man.
Well, it's the truth. I mean, and going out on your own in journalism these days, that's not easy either, but you're doing it all the new way, so I think that's fantastic.
Thanks very much. Yeah, it's been good. It's been very exciting.
I just want to come to one of your gatherings that you've been doing at the Hotel Havana. I just haven't been able to make it.
Right. Well, actually, we've got a forum coming up on September 18th at the Liberty Bar at 3 p.m. on a Sunday, and it's going to be about the transportation in San Antonio. We're going to talk about streetcar, we're going to talk about toll roads, and everything in between. We have County Judge Nelson Wolff and District 8 Councilman Reed Williams, who's a big number cruncher, very much the pragmatist. So that should be good.
That sounds interesting.
Well, we had a big kerfluffle this week about the scheduling of the job speech. It's probably not promising when the first challenge of creating new jobs is scheduling the job speech for the president. But in any event, and now we learned today that for the first time since February of 1945, the economy reported a net job creation of 0. The unemployment rate for the nation stays at 9.1. This is going to have to be some kind of speech. I mean, I don't know. I don't ever remember a speech that started out with this many strikes against it before the teleprompter started rolling, Elaine.
Does he start out with an apology for the bank bailout and say, "We're so sorry we trusted these people to do something besides continue to line their pockets"?
I don't know. I don't know what you can. I mean, I've read a lot of columnists who've written, you know, this is what I would say if I gave the speech, which is a kind of a dumb premise for a column.
Well, really, they're just applying for a job, right?
I guess.
You could hire me as a speechwriter in case my column.
But it's all very unrealistic because we don't expect any politician, including the president, to ever, in midstream, say, you know what, I tried a bunch of stuff and most of it didn't work. They're not going to admit that, right?
He's going to have to find some sort of way to say, I'm having a new initiative, right? Like, this is what we're going to do now. He'll try to paint what's happened in as positive light as possible, put the blame elsewhere, not on the policy itself, and then talk about what the next step is. I think that's how you do it. But I just want to say, by the way, to me, I thought it was crazy that he even tried to, given how the dynamic's been, why try to schedule with Congress? He just should have come out and said, this is when I'm giving the job speech. I hope you can make it.
I actually agree with you.
Like,
and I would have
come
said, if I can't go to the House, if I can't have a joint session, I'm the president. I'll just deliver it somewhere else.
Like, if y'all don't think it's important enough to come, by all means, I'll let the folks know out in the hinterland.
I was surprised that he just didn't go to the networks and just forget the joint.
Because that Republican debate is only on one network. So the other networks had no problem. And I also don't believe for a minute, now you may disagree with me on this, Elaine, Jay Carney has told about 4 versions of this story. It was a coincidence, we didn't know, we did know and didn't care. Yeah. I mean, they knew when the Republican debate was. They knew they were picking a night that was the same night. It was a pretty good political kick in the shins. You know, we're gonna one up your big TV moment.
Oh yeah, but also knowing that it would cause a fervor from the Republicans, so it would look like they were being obstructionist, which is really unfair in this situation.
Then why not just say, yeah, you guys think your debate is more important than my speech? You know, let's let people decide that. I mean, I don't get them. I don't get what's going on here. It's hard not to see this as just incompetence, because
it is.
If that was your original decision, you should stick to it.
It's incompetence, but I still think there was a little bit, I think there was something going on there just to make it look like, once again, the Republicans are obstructing my desire to get a point across. But what you said about actually trying to morph the speech into actual specifics, I would be so refreshed and rejuvenated to have this president do a specific thing on anything. I mean, he's done so many wide-ranging speeches. I want to see some specific plans or steps that he has for this, because I think the whole world is waiting for those kinds of specifics from him instead of more, you know, platitudes or more general statements. That's just my opinion.
Dr. Elaine, I mean, you're a job creator. Do presidents create jobs?
Well, it's a difficult question, because they cannot create jobs other than, you know, increasing the size of the government, but they can set policies which are business friendly, and this is how you create employment.
Right.
And
so it might be helpful for starters if our politicians use the right language in both parties.
Yeah.
Instead of claiming they create jobs, talk about getting out of the way of or incenting the behaviors of people that do create jobs, right?
That is correct.
So what is it you do if you're the president to get out of the way?
Well, some of the perceptions are there that he is creating policies which are, you know, not very business friendly. For example, pushing through the, healthcare reforms, which people think that is going to hurt the small businesses. And one can do something, you know, give credit to hiring new people. The most important thing that I guess he can do as a president is to create, you know, give incentives for more business investment. For example, the capital gains that we have higher in this country, and also, create policies to bring some of the money that is being, left out in foreign countries and try to bring it back. Because people who have money, they don't like to keep the money just sitting on the sides. You know, when you bring the money in, you know, hundreds of billions of dollars or even trillions of dollars, which is sitting outside the country, once you bring it back, that money will have to be invested somewhere. And that has to create jobs on its own. So I think that is the incentive that will help the businesses the most. Without actually sounding like that it has created a business environment, it will create business and create new jobs.
I mean, it's a problem too when you have chosen a form of rhetoric or a tone that blames business for the recession. When you're saying it's Main Street versus Wall Street, I mean, I think, Elaine, that makes it very hard for any politician once he or she has gone down that road to then say, okay, now I'm interested in what you think, and let me know what we can do to bring that capital back into the country or bring those jobs back into the country. When you take the approach that Barack Obama or Rick Perry in Texas takes, which is we're going to pick and choose winners and losers and everybody else is the bad guy, how do you climb down from that?
Well, I guess I'm more concerned with, that's one way to phrase it. The other way to phrase it is, though, how do we have a frank, honest, and positive discussion about what real incentives look like? I mean, you can say something like, well, we need business-friendly policies. Okay, what does that mean? If anything, if we've learned anything over, say, the past decade or so, it's just because you put more money back in, say, corporations' pockets, it doesn't mean that they will actually do things that are better for the economy. Not all jobs are the same. A new house in the Hamptons, yes, I suppose that creates some short-term construction jobs. That kind of drives that part of industry. But is there someplace else that money, if it didn't go totally out in bonuses, while at the same time the mortgage industry is still in tatters, that it could be used in a more productive way for the economy? So I think if you're going to have a real conversation about what incentives look like, okay, yes, fine, we'll change this tax rate, but we want you to do X with it. That's a legitimate conversation to have. You do have to do it in a way that I think doesn't sound like you're just going to throw some people overboard.
Yeah, I think we have to stop obsessing about the house in the Hamptons and the corporate jets they take to get there, because that isn't money that would otherwise be spent.
I'm obsessing about the bonuses, really.
That isn't the capital that I think Dr. Ali may be talking about is capital that would be in motion in the economy. It isn't bonuses and executive pay. We're always going to have that. You're not going to do away with that.
Right. Now, here's my analogy. Well, the bonuses and executive pay have increased dramatically over the past 50 years. I mean, there's that great story. I think it was either the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times looked at the difference in pay now, executive pay, compared to even just a generation ago. And it is hugely different. And that is money that would otherwise be in the company, presumably maybe doing some kind of investment in the company, whether it's to wages for the workers who create the goods so they have greater purchasing power, or to greater efficiency so that your productivity goes up. So I think that is a totally fair analogy to make. It's not separate. You know, when you're saying we're putting our capital someplace else, or we're just sitting on it because we don't like the tax rate, you're telling us how you think we ought to use the money, we're disagreeing, but that's the conversation we have to have.
But at some point, if there's disagreement, how long does this tug of war go on? How long does the president say, look, we have to live with high unemployment rates because I'm not going to let them have those bonuses and those corporate jets? If his job, which he defined in his own book...
Wait, you're reducing what I'm saying, though. What I'm saying is the conversation is what kind of incentives are you going to have in place, and you can't just assume that just saying, okay, fine, we aren't going to tax these things means that money is going to be put to good use.
No one is proposing we're not going to tax these things, and no one is proposing that they will give up a corporate jet in order to create a job. But I guess what I'm saying is this president, in his own book, talked about the idea of excavating politics and excavating the nobility of politics out of the dirty and nasty back and forth debate that we've had for a long time. He said that his presidency would be about this idea that there's more that binds us together and unites us than there is that divides us. By that measure, I don't see how this isn't already a failure. I mean, this has not worked.
It would be interesting to see what he would write now, right? I mean, obviously that book was written at a different time and experience. But that is the real, to say, there are many things that unite us, right? But there are certain things that divide us. And one of the things that divides us very radically in this country is wealth, entrenched poverty and entrenched wealth. And we have both of those things now in a much smaller middle class than we used to have. And you have to engage that conversation in some way. And when you do that, people are always going to make it. Even if you don't make it combative and us versus them, somebody will make it that way for you. So what I'm saying is, let's not say we can't have this conversation. I agree there's better ways to have it, but it is a conversation we have to have.